Well, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah amma ba'du. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to answer some questions given by my lecturer to complete my midterm in online course. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Iklimah. I'm from PBI 1, 6th semester with the last ID number 020. Where before I start this video, I will tell you a little bit about the structure of this video. The first is opening, the second is discussion about 3 subtopics. The first is interactional spoken discourse, the second is transactional spoken discourse, and the last is performance spoken discourse. And the third subtopics is conclusion. Well, with say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, let's move to the second subtopics. There is discussion. The first subtopics is interactional spoken discourse, is analysis discourse approach that studies how a person uses language by interacting with others directly, and how a person building the relationship, social relationship, identity and activities interact. For example, when we just met someone, the new someone, we exactly say hello or hi to build the conversations, and many others. It's important you can build the conversation, and you can invite them to speak with you. And the reason why we have to analyze this discourse is because to provide our social languages with others, so that we can know the functions of the social language we build, and how to analyze this discourse. And how to analyze this discourse? The first is we have to provide a piece of information of the discourse, and the second is descriptions of arranging of this discourse, and the second is know the function of language in this discourse, and the last is know the internal structure in this discourse, and the things that we can find in this discourse that can help us to find to different the type of communication that we use in any situations. And the second is we can different what the statements that native speaker implement to us, because before we have studied about it, and the implications during teaching and learning in ELT. Well, the teacher uses the sequence and in discourse to preparation the conversations based on exchange structure, and the second is uses the natural language during the conversations, and the last is uses the internal structure to build conversations. Well, the second subtopics is transactional spoken discourse, is an activity that involves oral speaking when interacting with others by inviting them to discuss, exchanging opinions, building the such as discuss with them, and many others. For example, when we want to describe something, we have to use oral speaking, and we have to speak with in front of our interlocutor and many others. The reason why we have to analyze this discourse is because when we want to speak, the main key is courage. Courage is conveying information or messages that we have. And the second is to extend our ability when speaking, like the vocabulary we use, the sentence, the structure, and the pronunciation. And the last is the grammar that we have, as smooth as native speaker or not. And how to analyze this discourse? There are three things. The first is initiation, or I, is carried out by the speaker at the opening introductions, participants arranging the debate or organization, welcoming the candidates, introduction the topics, and invite arguments. And the second is initiation is produce a response in the form of preamble, overview the topic, declare solutions, and provide recommendations. And the last is initiation is results of follow up in the form of expressing gratitude. Well, the things that we can find in this discourse, the first can help us to speak like native speaker generally without any imitation, by declaring the information we got, so that we can provide our ability, our mastery in speaking, and we can increase our confidence when we speak. Well, the implications that the data in this result, implications in the results in teaching and learning debates in ALT. The first is the teacher can use discourse as a pattern for speaking by using discourse in transactional oral discourse. And the second is the teacher can use the natural, and the second is the teacher can use the natural linguist learning can with that by implement it in debate or discussion. The last subtopics is performance spoken discourse. Performance spoken discourse is the third scope of discourse analysis that refers to oral public speaking. According to Richard 28, speaking performance is a type to transfer information in front of public or audience, such as class presentations, public announcements, lecture, and speeches. The reason why we have to analyze this discourse is because performance speaking is a medium for communicating information in front of the public, which is use formal language, such as making speeches and oral discussions. And how to analyze this discourse? The first is using an appropriate formal. The second is presenting information in appropriate sequence, introduction, audience engagement, using an appropriate pronunciation and grammar, using an appropriate vocabulary, and the last is using an appropriate opening and closing. And the things that we can find in this discourse Well, the things that we can find in this discourse, the first is we can illustrate the process of communication in front of the public with use the formal languages, and the second is what we want to convey to others will be realized properly, and the second and the last is we can increase our confidence in speaking in front of public. There are several implications in the results where in teaching and learning speech delivery in ELT. The first is the teacher can use natural linguists and natural conversations with natural grammars with skills that we possessed. And the second is we can use the natural linguists accordance with the generic structure, and we can use the good pronunciation accordance with the English rules. Well, I think enough from me. Thank you so much for the kind attentions. I do apologize if I have mistakes to our lecturer and his partner. Thank you so much for teaching us and educate us. May Allah blessing us. Well, akhirul kalam. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.